Okay, so if you will look right here, I have got our current binder assignment sheet for the fourth 9 weeks rather. So we're going to kind of go over this real quickly, and we're going to add a couple of things to it, and then we're going to talk about your final project. And I know, it's your final project. It's so sad. All right, so we have our March calendar, appeal to pity, argumentum ad populum, transfer, selection, the ad hominem argument, the red herring, pigeonholing. Then we had some multiple choice practice work. Then we had your April calendar. I usually don't make a May calendar because May is usually kind of tying up loose ends, finishing our research paper, and preparing for the AP exam and then taking the AP exam. You do not have a final, quote-unquote, final exam in here. We just take the AP exam. Okay. Number 11 is going to be the Social Issues Research Project handout. And it looks like this. All right, number 12 is going to be the Best Kept Secret on Campus graphic organizer. And is this, and it has the title of the actual essay we're going to read right here, and then it has holes punched. Then you should have gotten 2 blank essay graphic organizers, and we are going to talk more about those in just a second. Cool? Cool? All right. So today we're going to talk about what your research project is going to entail and some anticipated due dates and what we're going to be going to do to kind of get prepared for this. I told you guys that I don't know, I may have forgotten to tell you guys that actually, that I'm going to be gone all week next week. All right. Because I'm going on that DC trip with my daughter. You can message me on Remind or email me. I'll have my phone, but I'm not going to be here. So I need to try to prepare you and give you as much information as possible, before I leave. Mr. Foster will be here Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. He will not be here Thursday and Friday. And Wednesday is his last day. All right, so he will be here with you. But ultimately, you're going to be working independently. The Chromebooks will be in here. You're going to be working on your research project. So that's what's up. Okay, so your final research project is a social issues research paper. I used to have my students write a research paper on war, where they had to trace a literary theme through different genres of work and apply them to different wars or different conflicts that the United States had been through. But I kind of got bored with reading that, and I felt like I had learned a whole lot about war. But anyway, I kind of wanted to move toward more of a social issue because I also feel like I noticed that the College Board was kind of making a change, and they were moving more toward looking at some different social issues and some of the questions that they were asking on the synthesis essay and even in argumentation. And so I felt like this would give you an opportunity to research something that you are interested in societally, all right? And hopefully broaden your horizons on it. So see if I can zoom this in. My hover cam has been a little bit temperamental lately. Okay, so up here, what are social issues? Social issues encompass issues that a small to representative group of people within a society disagree with or find undesirable. So by definition of what a social issue is, we are having some sort of argument, okay? So when you determine what your social issue is, you're going to develop some sort of a stance or a position, and you're going to back that up with research and evidence, all right? And you're going to explain to us kind of a call to action, reasoning as to why it is important for you to research this particular topic. Okay, so here are some possible social issues. You are not limited to this list. You can choose something that is not on this list. All right. Homelessness, poverty, euthanasia, cost of prescriptions, cost of college, trigger warnings and safe spaces, race relations, government mandates, racial profiling, internet safety, disability, cultural norms and beliefs, stereotypes, manufacturing a market. This is just a list to kind of get you thinking. You don't have to pick something off of this list. You don't have to have something completely different from somebody else in the class. You pick something that you personally are interested in, period. All right? It could be the cost of college. Is it worth it? All right? Is going to college and the cost of college education worth it in today's society? All right? I mean, that's something that should be on all of your minds. I mean, it's on mine because I've got a rising junior. Okay? So the first step in completing this project, and I hope that y'all are paying attention because I see a bunch of people on your phones, and this is a 400-point test grade. Reading and response. Okay, so the first step is reading. And part of the assignment is you're going to take your Bedford Reader, and I have a yellow one over here, which is the previous edition. I think it's the 9th edition. And then I have the 10th edition, which is the red Bedford. And you are going to choose 2 essays, anything, all right, that you want to read that we have not previously read in class. And you are going to read those essays, and then you are going to fill out these summary purpose graphic organizers, these. Okay? So you're going to pick 2 essays. And I don't care, as long as it's not something we've already read, which ones you pick. But I do want to show you some things. Okay? In the contents section, if you will open your book to the contents section, I have always really liked this book as a textbook for several reasons. I like the way it is organized. It's organized by writing genre, all right? And I've also liked the way that it gives you just a little bit of a background information about the essays. We're actually going to read this one on page, is that lowercase Roman numeral 11, The Best Kept Secret on Campus. We're going to read that. We'll start it today by Rosie Anya. And it's talking about mental health and psychological problems in college campuses and college students. And this is a research paper. It's a model of what your research paper is going to be like. Okay, so you have a model of that in your textbook, which is, a great gift because, as a student myself, I like to have a model of something that I'm doing. I like to have a sample so that I know I'm on the right track or not. All right, so then we have all of our essays listed, and they are listed, kind of by writing genre. The first is narration. Then we have like comparison, contrast. We have division or analysis. But I want to kind of talk about some different things that are going through here. If you're interested in race relations, Champion of the World. Okay, this is by Maya Angelou. She didn't dare ring up a sail while that epic battle was on. A noted African-American writer remembers from her early childhood the night when a people's fate hung on a pair of boxing gloves. So while it's an essay about a boxing match, it also deals with race relations. Fish Cheeks, it deals with different cultures, the Chinese culture, and kind of how a young girl feels as, her culture is mixed with the culture of the United States. We have all kinds of things like that. Grade A, the market for a Yale woman's eggs. A student writer could make good money as an egg donor, but the process makes her uneasy. Is it right for parents to pay for a perfect child? All right, so that's obviously a social issue. Shooting Dad, all he ever cared about were guns. So what's our issue here? Gun control, gun laws. All right. Here we have another one about a different culture. Physical Beauty, My Face. On Compassion, and this one's dealing with the homeless. And then we have another one called Homeless. Brotherly Love. Black Men in Public Space. This is one of my favorite essays, but I think that you guys may have read it as freshmen when you did To Kill a Mockingbird. Did you? If you've not read this, read this. This is a fantastic essay. And it is so true. It is very true. I think that he really does a good job, Brent Staples does a really good job in kind of relaying to us a reality that we often just choose not to think about. What else do we have? The Legacy of Anti-Gay Discrimination. If you're interested in environmental issues, How to Poison the Earth, Pollution, Chronicles of Ice. behind the formaldehyde curtain, I used to teach this, but we kind of have been running out of time a little bit more every year because of the way our schedule is. But behind the formaldehyde curtain is a very interesting essay. And what she is doing is she is exposing the funeral industry in this essay. It's actually a part of something much larger that she wrote. But Jessica Mitford, she kind of like is an investigative journalist, and she goes and does research and lives like alternative lifestyles so that she can write essays and novels and books and such on it. But anyway, this one is about the funeral industry, and it's really got a lot of sarcasm in it, where she is explaining how the funeral industry is a multi-million-dollar industry basically built on people's grief and desire to do what's right by their loved ones. And in it, she describes what they do when they prepare a body for burial. And it's kind of graphic, but it's really interesting, and it definitely gets her point across. And if you're interested in how markets are manufactured, this is a good point. She's writing about how in society, especially in the United States, we manufacture markets. And that's something else we've talked about previously with the beauty essay and with some of the other things. You know, we didn't know we needed, you know, home improvement smelling things until the market was manufactured by advertisers. So we have that there. Feminism, I want a wife, not all men are sly foxes. Substance abuse, having too much stuff if you're interested in, you know, kind of downsizing and living a simple life. The meaning of words, secrets, lying, and doublespeak, how we manipulate others with language. Here we have also globalization, live free and starve, how you treat people, be cool to the pizza dude. Here we have hurtful words, the meanings of a word, and then this one, and this is not culturally appropriate, but that's what it's being written about. So hurtful words, especially in terms of slang. We've read too much pressure. And here's what's wrong with gay marriage and gay marriage, societal suicide. And this is a good example for me. Like here, what's wrong with gay marriage and gay marriage, societal suicide. The way that the book does this is they'll take two opposing viewpoints and they'll put them together so that you can look at both sides. All right, and both sides present an argument. I think that that's fantastic.
What social issue would they go with?
That would go with just gender issues in society. Mm-hmm. Here we have U.S. immigration and racial profiling, and again, that's a paired selection. You know, one is more for it and one is more against it, and immigration. So if that's something that you're interested in, we have those as well. Then, you know, as we kind of move forward, these are all kind of mixing the methods. They're a little bit more kind of a combination of things, but you can look at the blurbs and you can read a little bit about each of these. The Yellow Bedford has a couple of different essays that are not included in this one, but it's totally up to you which two you choose to read. Okay, if you read two of these essays in the book and you're like, I don't want to write on that as my topic, you do not have to write on that as your topic. You can pick something else, okay? But the ultimate goal here is when you read one of these essays, you are expanding your mind and you are thinking critically, and that is what helps you on that multiple choice. All right? So you're going to complete two of these sheets, one on each essay. You'll write your name, the title of the essay, and the author of the essay. And we're going to do this in class. Honestly, you could do this all in class tomorrow if you really worked hard. Okay? But tomorrow and Thursday, we're going to do this in class. I have never found one of these essays in the book that I was not able to find online. Okay? So if you don't finish it in class tomorrow and Thursday, you'll have to finish it for homework Thursday night. Are you with me? Okay. So you're going to write down the title, you write down the author. Then, just like what we have done and what we're going to continue to with the essay that we read today, for each paragraph, you're going to jot down a quick summary of that paragraph, and then you're going to write down what is the author's purpose. This is exactly what you did for Capricious Camera. Okay. Now, I have put 11 boxes on here for 11 paragraphs. If your essay has more than 11 paragraphs, you don't have to continue unless you want to. Okay? If your essay has less or fewer than 11 paragraphs, just fill out the blanks for the number of paragraphs that your essay has. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay, so that is your first step. Your first step is to do that critical reading. All right? So look at readings from the Bedford Reader and choose an issue. Read 2 essays not previously covered in class from the Bedford Reader. 1 must relate to your social issue. That's not true. Okay? They don't necessarily. All right? But you do need to read 2 essays and broaden your horizons. You can pick a social issue that is not necessarily in the book, but you've got to approve it with me. You're going to complete a summary purpose graphic organizer for both essays. And it says here that those summary purpose graphic organizers, 2 at 50 points, are due 4/27. And that is a 100-point test grade. Word? Are y'all with me so far? Okay, then you are going to obtain reliable nonfiction sources that are relevant to your topic. You're going to evaluate and cite the sources on the attached document. I'm going to give you one of those. And here are required sources and genres. Okay? You've got to have a Bedford essay, summary, purpose, graphic organizer. You do not have to have this cited in your paper. But if you do use it in your paper, you've got to cite it. You have to have a news article. You're going to print this news article out, and you're going to have a minimum of 5 annotations on it. You will have a chart, a table, or a graph dealing with your social issue printed out with 5 annotations. A visual image, and that can be a photograph. It can be a political cartoon printed out with 5 annotations. You will have an audio or a video source. And this can be a YouTube video. It can be a commercial. All right. It can be a podcast. There's all kinds of options there. Something that you listen to. And because you can't print that out, you will have a sheet where you take notes on it. All right. And I'll get that for you. All right. And then you will have a nonfiction choice. And it's either an annotated printout or an audiovisual sheet. And then you'll have a nonfiction source, which is either an annotated printout or an audiovisual sheet. All right. You are going to cite all of these sources in the MLA format, and you will attach a source record document. And I will give you one of those as well on Friday. We'll talk more about this, because what you're going to be doing next week is your research and your outline of your paper. Okay? So here, if you will look, sources, copies, worksheets, annotations, your citations, and those can be electronic, but your file must be shared and complete by this date. G57. 7 sources, 10 points each. The citation is half. All right. We did an entire unit on using the MLA handbook and creating citations. MLA handbook is so easy to use now. You just follow the whole thing with the containers. I have a class set. You're going to be doing your research in class. All right. You have access to those. You're going to have outline worksheet also due on the 7th, and then your rough draft will be on the 9th. Okay. Your rough draft and your outline, even though that's just 2 days, the rough draft will be really easy to write after you've already done your outline, and it really will only take you a couple of days. Then you're going to have 2 peer reviews in class, and then your final paper. All right? So step 2, like I said, is to obtain those reliable nonfiction sources. Then step 3, you are going to develop your purpose and your claim. You're going to outline your response on the claim data warrant grid, and this is a handout that will be provided. And you are going to compose your response in draft number 1. You're going to complete 2 peer edit sheets for your peers, and those are probably going to be electronic like they were yesterday, because that really worked out well. Okay. You're going to ensure that your peers have completed 2 peer edit sheets for your paper. You're going to provide a typed final draft, and that's going to include a works cited page in MLA format with no title page. You're going to turn in your final draft, rough draft, peer review sheets, copy of sources and annotations, and your AV sheets and your purpose summary graphic organizers. All right. Tomorrow I'm going to give you some more handouts, and we're going to talk about them at the beginning of class. But I believe that last year's paper was 3 to 4 full pages typed. Cool? Not cool? Any preliminary questions? You'll have some questions, but right now just kind of let us go through this together. All right, because it kind of starts putting itself together, and it comes together, and it makes a whole lot of sense. All right, cool? All right, so let's take this graphic organizer right here, The Best Kept Secret on Campus by Rosie Anya. We're not going to finish this today, but we'll get close. It's on page 74. Yes, they're on my desk, right up in the front. Okay, so this is on page 74. This is a sample research paper. All right, in the previous chapter, we saw Rosie Anya respond to Nancy Mayer's Disability, which is an essay about disabilities in society. So if you're interested in something along that lines or along in that nature, then absolutely that might be something that you want to read. With her own essay on television portrayals of psychological disabilities. After completing that paper, Anya began to wonder about some of the disturbing news stories she had seen that linked campus violence with mental illness. For a research assignment, she decided to delve further into the subject and was surprised by what she found. We reprint her research paper for 3 reasons. It illustrates many techniques of using and documenting sources, which are highlighted in the marginal comments. It shows a writer working with a topic that interests her in a way that arouses the reader's interests as well. And it explores a problem that affects most college students, often profoundly. Okay, so she has her paper here, and it is written, even though it's reprinted here for publication, it looks a little different, but it's written in MLA format. Okay, so she has her name, her professor's name, her English course, and the due date. She has her title here, and her title is The Best Kept Secret on Campus. And I know that some of you kind of struggled with titles on your photo analysis essay, but if you look right here, it says the title arouses readers' curiosity. Okay, it doesn't say something like my research paper, social issue, my social issue research paper, social problems, but it arouses the curiosity of the reader and kind of gives them an idea of what the whole paper is going to be about. All right. So in our first paragraph here, the college experience as depicted in advertising and the movies consists of happy scenes, students engrossed in class discussions, partying with friends, walking in small groups across campus. Such images insist that college is a time of great learning and friendship, but some students have a very different experience of emotional and psychological problems, ranging from anxiety to depression to acute bipolar disorder. These students endure social stigma and barriers to treatment that their colleges and universities must do more to help them surmount. Okay, so as far as our summary of paragraph 1, what might we write? Tell me about it.
Like if you go to a college visit, it always has people like walking in groups and smiling. In reality, it's a different thing.
Okay, so she presents a contrast between the outside views of college and the harsh realities for many students. So if we were looking at her purpose, what might her purpose in this paragraph be? Is paragraph number 1. Yeah, she's introducing the issue. So she's introducing the issue or the topic. All right, so if you will look at our blue little notes here. The images establish contrast between expectations and experiences of college students. No source citation is needed because this is her generalization. All of this information in paragraph 1 came from her brain. And she includes her thesis statement. All right, so this is where she presents her claim or thesis statement. Paragraph 2. The numbers of college students suffering from psychological problems are staggering. A 2006 survey conducted by the American College Health Association found that 66% of students have experienced feelings of hopelessness. More than 75% have felt overwhelmed or gone through a period of severe sadness. Nearly 50% have been so depressed that they had trouble functioning. 15% have been formally diagnosed with depression, and almost 10% have contemplated suicide. The simple fact, unknown to many, is that a college student is more likely than not to experience a severe psychological problem at least once. In other words, such problems are a common aspect of college life. All right, so here she is bringing in some statistics. All right, let's look at that. A 2006 survey conducted by the American College Health Association. Okay, there's probably not an author for this source. Okay, but she is giving us the association that did conduct this research. So if you look, you can look on her works cited page, and we should see American College Health Association there first, and we do. Okay, so it should match up identically. She tells us the pages that this information is contained on in her parenthetical citation. Okay, so here she is bringing in statistics to help establish the scope of the problem. She cites a paraphrase. Okay, remember, you can document your research in 3 ways. You can do it with a quote, which is copying it word for word. You can do it with a summary, which is where you take a larger body of information and you condense it down to something smaller. Or you can do it in a paraphrase, which is about the same in length, but in your own words. Even if it's not a direct quote, it has to be cited parenthetically. Okay? So here we have a citation of a paraphrase. The citation includes only page numbers because author, American College Health Association, is named in the text. Okay? So follow-up comments give her interpretation of the evidence. In other words, such problems are a common aspect of college life. All right, so she is summarizing some of the information or the data. It's actually a paraphrase. Okay, so she summarizes or paraphrases outside research regarding mental health on college campuses, and ultimately by doing that, she is using data to support her claim that mental health on college campuses is an issue. The paper that you guys just did on poverty tourism is a smaller version of a social issue paper. All right? Okay, so in paragraph 3, despite the prevalence of depression and related disorders on campus, however, most students avoid seeking help when they need it. The American Psychiatric Association maintains that most mental health issues, depression especially, can be managed or overcome with treatment by therapy and or medication. But among students with diagnosed depression, according to the American College Health Association, a mere 26% get therapy and only 37% take medication. One reason for such low numbers can be found in a survey conducted by MTVU, a resource network for college students, and the JED Foundation, an organization dedicated to reducing suicide among college students. Only 22% of students would be willing to ask for help, even if they were certain they needed it, because they perceive mental illness as embarrassing and shameful. Thus, students who need help suffer additional pain and no treatment because they fear the stigma of mental illness. Okay, so if we were going to summarize this, then what might we say?
Students feel like an
we have a contrast presented with the need for help and the stigma. So if we were looking at her purpose for this paragraph, what might it be?
To introduce that the students are having trouble, but they can't, because there's such a stigma around it, they can't confront it.
Exactly. She is bringing to light that there is a problem here, right? All right? We have a problem. All right, and we'll stop there today because the bell's going to ring on us.